Hi everybody, in today's episode of Gaffer and Gear we're going to be looking at the Aputure AL-M9, a very small compact light, and next week we're going to be comparing it to the newer AL-MW. So both lights are made by Aputure, both lights are very compact for their light output, both lights are daylight balanced and both lights have built-in batteries. Now this episode was going to be on the new unit, but all the information on this will come out next week. I've just encountered a small issue with the unit and I just want to give the manufacturer the right of reply before I publish. So the next week will be focused primarily on this, but in today's episode I'll be going through this amazing little unit and just showing you how a professional gaffer uses something like this. Alright, so let's talk about the Amaran AL-M9 first. So I've owned 8 of these AL-M9s for about a year and a half, and they've been an absolute game changer for me. Prior to owning these, I did own small LED lights that had built-in batteries with about a similar size output to these, but they were nowhere near as small as this. So this is actually the size of a business card, but you know, compared to a lot of lights out there, it's way thinner, bearing in mind that it's got a built-in battery. Now, Aputure claim the battery gets 90 minutes. I think that's at full power. I think if you set your expectations at 80 minutes, that'd be more realistic. I can't remember what I get off these, but I pretty much allow for an hour and I don't get let down. So look, if you fully charge it, you know, before the shoot, I think you're safe to assume you're going to get about 80 minutes, but you're never going to get 90. And the thing is, if you've charged these up, put them in your case or whatever you're storing them in, and you've pulled them out a week or 2 weeks later to use them, they don't hold their charge that well. So I tend to allow 60 minutes of battery runtime. If I charge them up the day before, I will get about 80. So, and that's at full power. So that's pretty remarkable that it's got a built-in battery that can do that. Now it's called an AL-M9 because it's got 9 LED emitters in it. And you've got this weird looking piece of diffusion. The reason the diffusion's got these holes in it is that's for ventilation. So with the spacing this far apart on the LEDs, you do get 9 shadows. It's not really that big an issue for me because I don't use it as a key light. What I tend to use these for is when I need to conceal a light somewhere on a set. So say we've got an actor opening up a locker. I've had these in lockers. I've had them in safes, I've had them in fridges, I've had them underneath sinks when we're doing shots with plumbers. Look, they're very easy to conceal. And what makes them super easy to conceal isn't so much the size of them, it's the weight. So this unit, I just weighed it in the kitchen, comes in at 73 grams. So what makes these super easy to use is because they're so lightweight, I can just get something like this, which is like a gel pad, which are designed for holding mobile phones to dashboards, and literally just peel it off its backing, stick it on the light, turn the light on, and whatever surface I want to mount it to really is that simple because the light is that lightweight. So here's a good example of where an AL-M9 comes in really handy. So we had a scene where dinner gets burnt, and it's black smoke inside a black oven, so you can't see the smoke unless it's backlit. So we just stuck an AL-M9 straight into the oven, kept it in shot so it looked like the oven light. It literally took me about 20 to 30 seconds to set this light and stick it in place because there's no power cables to operate the unit. It's running off an internal battery. It's so lightweight I could just use a gel pad, just slapped it into position and off we went. So here's another example of the sort of setups where I use these a lot. So you have a look at the bottles in the shot here. The bottles are just glowing. They've got a beautiful backlight on them. But you notice there's no shadow coming off the bottles from the backlight. Well, the reason that is it's literally just 2 of these just put behind the bottles. That's it, pretty simple really. So yeah, in the old days we did a shot like that before we had LED technology and even before we had fluoros. We would have had a fake bench top, drilled holes in the bench tops, so holes about that big, put the bottles over the top of them and put a Dido light through each hole. So it would have been a very time consuming setup. and cost a bit of money. But literally just a couple of these, turn them on, pop them in place, took seconds to do. So something like that, these come in great. If I'm doing a TV commercial with product shots, I'll just have some of these in my pocket, you know, standing by ready to use. A shot like that comes up, I just turn them on, bring them onto set, drop them in, say, how does that look? People say yes or no. Literally takes seconds. Okay, so the cheapest price I could find these for online today was 53 Australian dollars. That includes tax and shipment. So these are incredibly cheap, especially when you consider that it's got a built-in battery. So the units come with this little shoe mount, so you can use it as a camera top light. Look, I wouldn't use it as a camera top light. The 9 LEDs give you 9 very distinct shadows, so I don't think it's particularly good for that. But the shoe mount does have a standard thread, so you can put a spigot on or use other film and TV accessories for mounting. The unit also comes with your $53, so about $53 to $62. Comes with a little bag that has a little catch hook for you, so you can keep it on you. Very handy thing to have on set. Also comes with a couple of gels, a full blue and a full CT orange gel. Look, criticisms of the unit, some criticisms I've heard is, look, it's got a built-in battery, but it doesn't have an exterior battery mount so when the battery goes flat, that's it. You can't just swap the batteries over. Look, I think that's a pretty silly criticism, because at $53 for a light, the whole light itself is cheaper than buying a battery. So I have 8 of these. So the reason I have 8 of these is when they go flat, I just bring another light in and just replace the light, because if you do the maths on it, you know, having 8 of these lights is cheaper than having 2 of any other light with 8 batteries and a battery charger. Now, speaking of battery charging, it charges off a mini USB jack, so you just use a phone charger. Now, the unit does come with a cable for that, so what I found quite interesting was how many phone chargers I had. So I had like 6 old phone chargers. But when I'm charging these, because I have 8 of them, and you want to top them up and make sure they're fully charged every week because the batteries don't hold their charge, I use one of these USB charging hubs, so I can charge multiple at a time. Now, look, for the price, you know, $53, you'd be expecting it to be pretty ordinary, I'd be guessing. So I'll just pull up my stats from my testing of it. The color temperature came in at 5,235 degrees Kelvin. So they're a little bit warm for a daylight lamp, but look, no one's ever complained about that. I think everyone's pretty astonished that I'm getting light in a place where you didn't expect to get a light from. The CRI came in at 97.8. The TLCI on these units came in at 99.45. So that's measured off the units that I own. Now that sounds all pretty good. They sound like great scores, but here's the thing with Aputure, they're a little bit hit and miss with their batches. So if you want to buy 8 of these and you want them to match, you want to buy them all at the same time, because there is a little bit of difference of a couple of 100 degrees Kelvin between batches that people have found. So buy them all at once and you won't be disappointed. So let's have a look a little bit more detail. So if we go to a TM30 test, you'll see that these things scored 93% on color rendition, which is staggering for a small light with such an old LED array, because these are probably 2 to 3 years old now. 93% color rendition and 101% saturation is very, very good. If we have a look at the individual CRI scores, everything's above 90 except for R12, which came in at 83. So look, very, very respectable scores there. And if we have a look at the color mapping, seeing how the unit came in terms of its whites, it's very close to the Planckian curve, so it needs absolutely no gels correction for that. So quite astonishing for a $53 light. Now, just one final note in terms of running these off batteries, because some people have criticised that it doesn't run off an external battery. Well, what you do is go to the petrol station or the gas station if you're American, go to where they sell the phone accessories and just buy one of these little units. So this is an external battery for topping up and recharging your mobile phone, and get one of these and plug it into this, mount it with rubber bands or whatever, and you get 8 to 9 hours of continuous runtime. Okay, so I've really scampered to get a video together, so this week, so that's why this video is late. The video was meant to be on this, the ALMW, which is 3.5 times more powerful than the light we just reviewed, and it's also waterproof. But in my thorough testing of the unit, I have encountered something very interesting, and I just want to get giving the manufacturer the right of reply before I publish the video. So I've had to re-edit today's video and make it about this unit, and I really wanted it to be about this new unit. But yeah, the issue I found is it's either not an issue, it's a minor issue, or because this thing has a lithium battery in it and goes in water because it's waterproof, it could be a major issue. But I don't know. My suspicion is that the thing I've found is well within the engineering tolerances, but I just want to get an answer out of Aputure before I publish a video that has an open-ended question in it, because the problem with the internet is if you do something like that, the wrong message can go viral. So I just want to make sure that I'm 100% understanding what's going on in this light before I publish it. Otherwise, it's a great light. I've bought this one. I've got a second one on order despite what I found, but I just don't want to publish a video that's not complete. I'm Andrew Locke. See you on the next episode of Gaffer and Gear.